There comes a moment in every person's life when the mirror turns from glass to fire. Not a reflection, but a reckoning. You look into it and realize the person staring back is a product of choices, some made in strength, but most in weakness. And the worst part, you know it. Deep down, you've always known it. You feel it in the early hours when the alarm rings and you hesitate. You feel it in the silence between your goals and your actions. You feel it every time you choose comfort over challenge. You know that somewhere along the way, you made peace with your own excuses. You started negotiating with your potential. You made deals with your own fear, and now you're paying the price. But what if I told you there's another way? A path carved not in the sand, but in stone. A way that does not bow to feelings, nor wait for motivation. A code that ancient warriors lived by. A mindset forged in fire and perfected in silence. The way of no excuses. This is not for everyone, but if you're tired of the lies you tell yourself, if you're done with mediocrity masquerading as comfort, if something inside you is screaming that it's time to change, then stay right here. Because this could be the moment everything shifts. Before we go any deeper, if you're watching this and something is already stirring in your chest, don't ignore it. Take a moment and subscribe to the channel. Click that like button to help this message reach more people, and drop a comment sharing what excuse you're done making. Because once you say it out loud, you start to take its power away. Most importantly, click the link in the pinned comment. That link will take you to a program that has already helped over 100,000 people rebuild their minds, their bodies, and their purpose. It's not hype. It's real work, real change. And it starts with a decision, your decision. Now listen closely, because what we're about to explore is not comfortable. It's not wrapped in pretty language or soft promises. This is the discipline of ancient warriors. Men who did not allow weakness to speak without being challenged. Men who lived and died by a code that left no room for excuses. In the East, the warrior path was more than a way to fight. It was a way to live, a way to see the world, a way to confront the self, again and again, until nothing false remained. The samurai in Japan, the monks of Shaolin, the ascetics of India, they were all students of the same truth, that strength is not born, it is built, and the first thing that must be destroyed to build it is the excuse. Excuses are not just lies you tell others. They are the slow poison you feed yourself, day after day. They start small. I'm tired. I don't have time. I'll do it tomorrow. But they grow. They become part of your identity. You start believing you're someone who just isn't disciplined, or needs more motivation, or wasn't born with that kind of focus. And the moment you start saying those things, the moment you accept that narrative, you hand your life over to weakness. The warriors of the East knew this well, which is why they trained, not just the body, but the mind. Because the body can be conditioned, but the mind must be conquered. The samurai did not train for battle when the drums of war began to sound. They trained every day, regardless of peace or danger. They woke before dawn, cleaned their blades, meditated in silence, studied the art of death so they could learn how to truly live. And when fear crept in, when fatigue whispered, when doubt pressed its weight upon their backs, they did not explain it away. They did not make space for the excuse. They stood taller. They moved forward, because to pause was to die, and not just physically, but spiritually. Because to the warrior, every compromise is a form of spiritual death. Think about your own life. How many things have you delayed, avoided, escaped from just because they were uncomfortable? How often have you chosen the soft road, thinking it would protect you, only to realize it made you weaker? The modern world has tricked us. It tells us that ease is the reward, that comfort is happiness, that we should listen to our bodies and honor our emotions as if those things are always telling the truth. But your body will lie to you. Your emotions will lie to you. Your excuses, most of all, will lie to you. And a warrior, he does not take orders from liars. The Eastern path demands something different. It demands silence when you want to complain, action when you want to wait, stillness when you want to run. It demands that you confront every weakness, not once, but repeatedly, until the excuse has no oxygen left to breathe. The Shaolin monks understood this. They trained until their muscles trembled and their minds screamed for mercy. But they didn't stop, because they knew that beyond the discomfort is freedom. Beyond the suffering is strength. Not the kind that comes from lifting weights or shouting affirmations, but the kind that lives in your bones. The kind that can walk through fire without blinking. That's the strength of no excuses. And it's not something you find, it's something you become. You become it by choosing discipline every single day, especially when it's hard. You become it by stopping the negotiation with your lower self. You become it by doing the work, even when it's boring, even when no one sees, even when everything in you wants to quit. Because quitting is the voice of the excuse. It's the call of the weak mind begging to be rescued from effort. But the warrior does not rescue that part of himself. He kills it every single day. What happens when you do that? Day after day, month after month, year after year. You change. Not on the outside, not at first, but inside, a new self begins to emerge. A self that no longer waits for permission. A self that no longer folds under pressure. A self that sees challenge not as a threat, but as fuel. And that kind of person is dangerous not because they are aggressive, but because they are unshakable. They cannot be seduced by excuses, bribed by comfort, or broken by resistance. They do what must be done, and they do it without applause. And that is what it means to walk the way of no excuses. It is not glamorous. It will not trend on social media. It is not for everyone, but it is for you if you are ready to stop lying to yourself. If you are ready to become the kind of person who can look in the mirror and feel no shame. If you are ready to break the cycle and rise. That is what we begin here. That is what this path will give you, if you have the courage to take it. And remember, if you're ready for the next level, click the link in the pinned comment right now. That program has changed lives because it demands change. It demands action, and so do you. If you want more of this content, subscribe to the channel. If this message hits you where it hurts, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. This isn't just a video, it's a challenge. It's a call to wake up. The warrior's path is waiting. The way of no excuses. How Eastern warriors confronted weakness. There is a moment in every person's life when they are forced to confront the truth about themselves. Not the version they present to the world, polished and edited, but the real, raw core beneath it all. It's the moment when the excuses run dry, when the stories we tell ourselves no longer hold up under the weight of reality. And in that silence, in that brutally honest mirror, we see what we have become. That moment is terrifying, but it is also sacred, because in that moment, we are offered a choice. Continue as we are, bound by weakness, or rise and become something more. If you've made it this far, then you're not here for comfort. You're not here for easy answers. You're here because some part of you is tired of the excuses, tired of the distractions, tired of living below your potential. So before we dive in, take a moment to engage. Subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button if you're ready to step into your strength. Leave a comment and declare what excuse you're leaving behind today. And most importantly, click the link in the pinned comment. That link leads to something powerful, a path, a program, a transformation. One that has already helped over 100,000 people rebuild their lives with purpose, with discipline, with results. This is your moment. Claim it. The Eastern warrior never had the luxury of excuses. To step into the world of the samurai, the monk, the strategist, was to step into a code, a way of life where accountability was absolute. Excuses were seen not just as weakness, but as a disease of the spirit. In feudal Japan, a samurai who failed his master did not blame the weather, or fatigue, or circumstance. He bowed, accepted his consequences, and in many cases, offered his life in penance. Now, we live in a different time, a different world. But the principle remains. The internal standard must be absolute, because if your reasons are stronger than your purpose, you will never rise. The reason this mindset is so rare today is because modern life offers us a buffet of escape routes. Too tired, skip it. Too hard, find a shortcut. Too uncomfortable, numb the pain. But each time we choose the easy path, a piece of our power fades. Eastern warriors knew that the path to mastery required total responsibility. When Miyamoto Musashi, one of the greatest swordsmen in history, faced defeat, he did not flinch. He studied. He trained harder. He changed. Because in his world, weakness wasn't a character flaw, it was a signal that something inside needed to be rebuilt, reshaped, reforged. There is something profoundly liberating about removing excuses from your life. It sounds harsh, but it's the beginning of true freedom. Imagine waking up each day knowing that everything you do is your choice, that no one else is to blame, that your results, your actions, your energy are yours to command. It is a terrifying level of ownership, but it is also the only path to greatness. The Zen monk doesn't meditate for applause. He does it to discipline the mind. The Shaolin monk doesn't train to impress. He trains to master himself. That is the essence of the way of no excuses. The question you must ask yourself is this: who would I be if I stopped negotiating with my weakness? What would my life look like if I stopped delaying, stopped blaming, stopped playing small? The answer is not in your imagination, it's in your action. The path of the Eastern warrior is not a philosophy, it is a practice, a ritual, a way of living that rewires your nervous system to reject complacency. And it begins in the smallest moments. Getting out of bed when your body says no. Training when your mind says later. Finishing what you start. Speaking with clarity. Living with precision. We are not meant to be passive. We are not meant to drift. The spirit of the warrior exists in each of us, but like a blade, it must be sharpened. That sharpening comes through struggle, through silence, through solitude, through the fire of repetition. And the warriors of the East understood this better than anyone. They did not seek approval. They did not need permission. They acted with intent, and from that intent, they built lives of meaning. You don't have to live like everyone else. You don't have to accept average, but you do have to choose. The way of no excuses is not for everyone. It requires sacrifice. It requires solitude. It requires an unshakable commitment to personal excellence. But if you choose it, if you walk this path, you will become someone the world cannot shake. Someone who leads, who builds, who endures. The discipline of an Eastern warrior did not start in grand battles or dramatic gestures. It started in the mundane, cleaning the blade with precision, standing in silence as the wind passed through the trees, practicing the same motion 1,000 times in the dim light before dawn. These rituals were not acts of performance. They were acts of transformation. And when you commit to this same level of daily intentionality, you too begin to transform. Not into something flashy or loud, but into someone unshakable. Someone rooted. There will always be an excuse available. Your mind is endlessly creative when it comes to finding reasons not to act. But the warrior does not listen to that voice. He sees it, acknowledges it, and moves anyway. That's the great divide. The warrior moves, even when it hurts, even when no one is watching, even when doubt floods in. Because movement builds momentum, and momentum is how you break through weakness. Real strength doesn't come from rare moments of inspiration. It comes from consistency, from the boring, from the The warrior doesn't need motivation because his mission is clear. His identity is forged through doing. He doesn't wait for ideal conditions. He trains in the storm. He meditates in discomfort. He acts when everything inside him screams to stop. And in doing so, he becomes more than just a man. He becomes a force. This is not about being perfect. This is about refusing to let imperfection become paralysis. The warrior knows he will fall, but he also knows he will rise, and rise again. That's what separates the strong from the weak. Not a life without failure, but a life where failure is fuel. The warrior uses everything: pain, loss, rejection, silence. It all becomes part of the fire that sharpens his edge. We live in a culture that celebrates ease and comfort. But comfort never built empires. Comfort never forged legends. The Eastern warrior thrived in discipline, in the challenge, in the relentless pursuit of mastery. He knew that every day was a test, not against the world, but against himself. And that is still true today. Every day you have the chance to face yourself, to choose the hard path, to grow stronger. If you've listened this far, then you already know you're meant for more. You feel it in your gut. You've always known. So now is the time. Take the next step. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Drop a like if this message has awakened something in you. Leave a comment to clear your path. And above all, click the link in the pinned comment. Because that's not just a link, it's a doorway. A chance to step into a life of no excuses, of discipline, of power. The way of the Eastern warrior is waiting. The only question is, will you answer the call?